Alright, let's start over. Who wants to make their own convention?
This guy.
This guy.
Is there a Pokemon convention already in Texas?
I don't know if there's a Pokemon convention.
That's not a bad idea. You guys
It's not a bad idea.
Let's do it. Pokemon convention.
But there's something like that though is a lot of people worry about legalities about that. But so far I haven't run into any problems with running a fan-run convention. Supernatural Con. I don't know much about them at all. I never watched Supernatural, but the producers of the show don't necessarily have to directly contribute to the convention since it's a fan-run convention. And what you're making money off of is memberships. If you look at conventions as like one huge club meeting, you pay for memberships to that club. You don't necessarily pay for the content. Alright? So that's pretty. If anyone asks you about what they're making money on, it's memberships. And then there's T-shirts and all that. Which
you go to the club or something, you pay in.
Yeah, club membership, admission fee. Yeah.
Organization dues.
Oh,
Yeah, just like that. So, like when I was asking my girlfriend about starting another convention, I'm crazy. She was like, I don't know about the legalities behind that. I was like, no, it's fine. Like some producers. When I say producers, the creators of the material that you're a fan of, some of them might actually even support you. Like, a lot of anime conventions in Texas, they're supported by Funimation, and they're used by Funimation to get their products out there. Hasbro tries not to have a hand in running conventions, but I've received 1 or 2 emails from the hub before, so which didn't really amount to much, but it was pretty cool. So you're more than likely not going to run into legal issues when it comes to starting up one. But let's start at the beginning. Since you're the only one who really wants to start a convention, how many people can you count? How many people can you think of that you can trust with helping you run a convention?
At the end of the day, the only person who's wrong is yourself.
This is Discord over here.
Discord.
I'm just saying.
I probably have a handful of people.
Alright, so like if you can count the number of people that more than 5, then you're in a pretty good position. Generally, you want people who have volunteered at other conventions before or worked on staff. Like for Brony Fan Fair, I have 6 staff members who have worked other conventions on staff. So when you have that experience and the working relationships, your working relationships have to be pretty positive. At least not negative. Definitely not negative, because then you just can't work with them. But if you have a working relationship with them, then you have the keys to a good board of staff. For example, my business partner for Brony Fan Fair, I've been working for him for 4 years at InkyCon and at Anime Overload. I do the graphic design for those 2 anime conventions. And when they, this is the story of how Brony Fan Fair got started. The idea came to us on April 1st, April Fool's Day. Okay, it was actually a prank. At the time, I was InkyCon's public relations director, and I had access to their Facebook page. And this is a 6,000 person convention, all right? And I had this idea, and I was in the middle of researching bronies for my documentary production. And I was like, hey, can I rebrand InkyCon as a My Little Pony convention for April Fool's? And he was like, sure. And I was like, yes! So I changed the default picture to a a pony version of our mascot, and our cover photo to a screenshot of Ponyville. And usually with InkyCon, there's a subtitle that says a Japanese anime and pop culture convention. I just changed that to a My Little Pony convention, and the reaction was, "What? What? Why? Why?" But it was an April Fool's joke, and it got a lot of attention. But then he was like, "What if we actually did make a My Little Pony convention?" And then we made one. All right, and I'll tell you how we got through that. So first of all, you have to register as a business and decide what kind of business you are. Brony Fan Fair is a general partnership. It's between me and him. We are. If this convention gets sued, it means we're directly sued. We're directly legally responsible. But you can also make an LLC, a limited liability company, which protects you as an individual. But it's $300 to register as an LLC. Other conventions like ACON and I believe Fiesta Equestria and San Japan are also non-profit conventions. They have to go through some other process, which I can't tell you. I can't tell you because I don't know what that process is. But
It's just a lot of bookkeeping. You have to prove we didn't keep any of the money.
yeah, when you make a not-for-profit convention, all the profits you make have to go back into the convention or the convention spending.
Which is why April grows.
Yeah. With Brony Fan Fair, Brony Fan Fair is a commercial convention. I mean, we are out to make a profit. I know it sounds bad, but that's just how this business is run. Alright, we put a certain amount of money back into the convention, but we agreed to that at the beginning. That number, I'm not going to tell you what it is because, yeah. Once you get registered as a business, you're ready to start making money. And so technically start making money, you're ready to negotiate as a business. At this point, you're going to have to, actually even before that, even before registering as a business, sorry if I have to jump back real quick. Once you need 5 people. 5 people you can work with. Like I found people that I work with, Mike, and we have a bunch of other people that we know that can help out with the convention. We start brainstorming. Like, what are we going to call the convention? What dates do we want? Where could we hold it? How much money are we going to spend? How are we going to fund it? And we can do a version of that here if you'd like. So let's say that you guys are my convention staff. All right. Woo! And let's see. I hope.
Is that promoted? Yes.
Okay. And for the sake of argument, let's start a Pokemon convention. Woo!
I love the events.
Okay. So first of all, what are we going to name this Pokemon?
Pokemon?
Pokemon.
What else would you name
I
it?
said first.
What else?
I wouldn't.
Anything else?
It's going to be in August.
Pikachu.
The very beginning of August. So that
Alright.
little people are in school.
Our ideal date is somewhere in August. Early August?
Yeah.
Early
Our
August.
school starting.
Yeah.
See if we can get it in line with like the TCG release.
Yeah, there's younger fan base for during the day.
Okay.
They're allowed to.
And we
Or
want,
when the next game?
that's right, we want it to be all ages. So it's definitely not a rated R or a PG convention.
18 plus kills.
Well, you could probably have
You can
It's
do
usually
mature
running
nights as well.
until like 7 p.m.
Alright, what else? Do we have any other names? Come on, or are we just sticking with Pokemon?
That's fair, right? We get into
Huh? Chukon? I don't know how marketable that is, but I'm going to write it down anyway. Alright, so for the sake of argument, not for argument, but just for this project, let's call it Project Pokemon for the playing stations, alright? And anyone have any other ideas for when we want to have this convention?
Just see if you get it in line with like the new game release or new TCG release or something like that. Like shortly after.
Yeah, you have to do research. It's a lot of research. And I have a large tongue.
But do you
So.
want it to be like continuous, like reoccurring convention, or one that just happens, you know,
Reoccurring
because the game is released?
Recurring conventions aren't always at the same time of year. The Leaky-Con is all over the map.
I've never been to that.
Harry Potter.
It's Harry Potter. I like to say
No, Leaky-Con.
Leaky-Con.
As in the Leaky Cauldron. That's it. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
What? Screaming? I know it.
I have a really bad
Okay. So either early August or in cooperation, or in coincidence with a game release, which is probably going to be difficult because they usually announce those dates about 8 to a year before, 8 to 12 months before the actual release date. That means you would only have 8 months to start planning. Brony Fan Fair only had 4 months, even though we blew up. We did really well, but that is mostly a testament of our experience as a staff together. But most people aren't going to have that level of experience. So I would actually suggest maybe a year or a year and a half in advance when you start playing the convention. So we wanted to cater to all ages, right? And the ideal time frame is August for the money, or the profits, basically. But as y'all know, conventions happen at all times of the year, so it doesn't have, you don't have to lock in at August. But you have to have a general idea when you start negotiating with hotels or venues, right?
You also want to make sure that it wouldn't overlap with any other
That's right.
conventions that are going to have the same fandom.
Exactly. You don't want to have it on the same dates as another convention in the same fandom because, at least within 200 miles of each other.
Yeah.
Like if Fiesta Equestria, just for the sake of argument, was just 50 miles closer to August, and we just so happen to have the September dates together, we would be in direct competition, and we don't want that. We definitely do not want that. So definitely do the research.
Or the other big conventions like San Diego Comic-Con.
That's right.
Dragon-Con.
Yeah, especially the bigger conventions. You don't want to go like that. Anime Overload is actually on the same weekend as Rooster Teeth Expo in the same city. And we even had an issue last year with some staff members wanting to go to both conventions. So yeah, there is actually some contention on that front, but let's see. Let's go back to brainstorming. So we you want to come up with ideas for venues. Since we're all pretty much in different cities, and for the sake of this example, I'm going to say we're going to have PokeCon in Austin. Okay? Because that's a solid choice. Yeah, it is a solid choice because it's smack dab 3 hours away from Houston and Dallas, and a hop skip away from San Antonio. So it's actually a pretty good place. For venues in Austin, there's the Austin Convention Center, which is owned by the city of Austin. There's the Hilton Austin, which is one of the largest hotels in Austin. And just keep coming up with ideas. You might be able to hold something on the university. At UT though, you need to be registered with a student organization to host an event on campus. You might be able to hold something at ACC maybe. I know that the ZooeyCon in San Antonio is hosted at Our Lady of the Lake University. It's a Catholic school. So which I guess you can explain why they were able to have it there. So they won't back up. And pretty much we have to gauge how many people you want. For a Pokemon convention, assuming that we market really well, you may touch up to 1,000 people first year, and that's like overestimating. Like that's a really good turnout for a first year convention. If we want to have a venue that can take up that many people, we are looking at maybe $3,000 to $6,000 just for venue space. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't make $3,000 in a week. I can't even make that in a month, most because I'm a student. But a little more white collar. Yeah, you need to find people who are willing to invest in your convention. Investors aren't really is one way to do it. Not the best way, but it's one way to do it. I'm told that because Equestrian has investors. My friend Mike, he started IkiCon based on his based on 1 month check working at Little Caesars. Yeah, wow. He donated his entire check to IkiCon the first year, just to have it in Austin. There are a lot of people now working on Kickstarter, which quite frankly is very effective. It's very effective. You have to pay a percentage of your pledge money to Kickstarter, assuming you get funded, and you also have to spend money on delivering your promises made to people who you donated to. Some people might be able to get money from their family or friends. For PokeCon, a Kickstarter will probably do pretty well for that. Yeah. For Brony Fan Fair, we were funded most completely on pre-registration and vendor space money. But when you work with venues, Brony Fan Fair is just as special because is a different case because we had a working relationship with the venue that we had. But in most cases, you're going to need to put a hotel deposit, and depending on what your negotiation with your contract with your venue is, you might be able to pay just that and then make the rest of your money before you pay the rest of the costs of having the venue. I don't want to give you specifics on how much Brony Fan Fair cost the first year, but it wasn't more than $1,500 just for our 2-day convention. You also want to consider how many days you want to have it. Anime Fest is 4 days. Most conventions are 3 days. Acon's 5.
WikiCon was a week
Well,
long.
we started like people they show up earlier and earlier every year.
Yeah.
This past year we actually started doing things Wednesday nights that are beautiful.
Wow.
And we don't kick people out till Monday around 5 p.m.
Wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty long, but I love it. I like coming in and I wish it was forever. But
Brony Fan Fair first year was 2 days. MizumiCon 1 day. Most smaller conventions are 1 day conventions. Obviously, the longer you want to rent the space, the more expensive it's going to get. Brony Fan Fair was just 2 days. It was no more than $1,500 in total. Now we're spending 3 days, and we're using the entire space rather than just some of the space. So we're looking at maybe $4,000 to $5,000 just for space. But fortunately, you can actually make that money back pretty quick when you sell vendor space. For our first year, we were able to make back at least 70% of what we spent just selling artist alley tables and dealer room space. And the rest of it, and that means, and we got most of the profit off pre-registrations. Do you guys know why pre-registration is really important for a convention?
Changes the size.
No. Actually, pre-registration, people who pre-register for a convention only make up about 20%, or maybe not even 20% of a total population. Like for Brony Fan, we had 300 people pre-registered, but we ended up with 900 people in total. With anime conventions, most people don't decide to go until like the last week or 2 weeks beforehand. and that's why conventions charge much more later. But the reason why pre-registration is so important is so that you actually have the money to work with earlier on. Like, if we didn't do pre-registration for Brony Fan Fair, we would not have the money to actually print T-shirts, print flyers, travel to our conventions, and you always have to try to find a way to save money on that. And part of the reason why Brony Fan Fair can save money on that is because one of the co-owners is the owner of Con, and we are able to share rides and hotel rooms. Most people aren't going to have that benefit. I hope it doesn't sound like a brand.
Is there a Pokemon convention here at all?
I do not know.
It's really intriguing.
Everybody had Indy.
You guys pre-reg?
I'd be all over.
This is a shared ownership between all of us, shared business. I've already registered at Indy.
By attending, you have signed up legally.
Well, fortunately for you guys, if you guys really want to start Pokemon, that's one convention I will not actually start up. So even though it's possible, let's see okay, possible convention guests for PokeCon. Let's invite the voice of Pikachu, who is probably from Japan and will cost a lot of money, so let's not do that.
What about the voice of the guy that was James, Brock, and
Oh, you know what? Yeah, voice actors.
Yeah, the American voice actors.
Yeah, let's go with it. But yeah, definitely American ones. You want to say like, if you really want to go for the big blast ones.
Oh, Ego Raptor.
Ego Raptor, sure. Anyone in the fandom, definitely look for fandom guests. Those are, to me, fandom guests are actually really hard to gauge with interest, because when you invite guests, you have to gauge your return on investment. Like, for example, Brony Fan Fair only had to spend about $500 on our guests, but we only had community guests. Most of them decided to pay for their own travel costs and their own lodging, so that was a great benefit to us. But you also should not expect that from most other people, especially industry guests. You have with industry guests, you also have to go through their more negotiation with them. Like, I believe, negotiate appearance fees, lodging, travel. There's this one voice actor I would love to have at Brony Fan Fair, and if he did, one of his best friends actually lives in Austin and is a guest at Brony Fan Fair. So he would actually just stay with her, and she would give him a ride. So travel and lodging would already be paid for. But on the other hand, he's also very expensive because he's very well known. Scott McNeil. No, it's not John Delancey. If I was lucky enough to have his best friend in Austin, it'd be no, but it's the person I'm talking about is Scott McNeil. I would love to have Scott McNeil. Y'all heard of him? Oh, yeah. See what I mean? I would even have non-Brony show up to Brony Fan Fair if I had that guy. But usually you're gonna want to pay for their lodging and flight ticket. I actually flew out Rita Chan to Brony Fan Fair, and that cost us a lot of money. And Celestial Radio, Midnight Magic, they came down with spending their own money, and I just helped them gave them a good time at Brony Fan Fair. Also, Pony Cart, some of them were actually from Texas, and they from Austin, so they already had a lodging place in Austin, so that was great for them. But in general, industry guests, you want to lodge, flights, you want to pay for those, and appearance fees. Some people don't negotiate appearance fees. You can also offer stipends. I was actually just taught this this week. The difference between an appearance fee and a stipend is conventions offer the stipend, whereas the talent agency or the voice actor or the talent is requesting the appearance fee. So the stipend is basically what you would pay the voice actor or guest just to be at the convention. I know Kyle Hebert, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to say. Kyle Hebert? Hey Bear. Bear. Hebert. Hey, no, H is And anyway, he's a pretty popular voice actor, but he takes since he's really into conventions, he will take a standard stipend, which is about like 3 digits. I won't tell you specifically what you're stunned by that. If you start your own convention and start by so after possible convention, yes, departments you might need. Departments like you got your board of directors. Board of directors is one way you can board of directors is one way you can organize the staff. We also have a convention committee, which is chair, vice chair, executive committee, which would also be your board of directors in a way. And so the general idea, you want your heads, your events, volunteers, registration, security, operations. Operations is very important. Did I say registration already?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Your tax support.
yeah, AV tech support, AV people. So pretty much 7 departments is pretty good.
And would you have someone specifically for guest relations, or would that fall under something?
For Brony Fan Fair first year, since we only have community guests, we put a lot of trust in our community guests because we know that they want to be there and they take care of themselves. We didn't have a full-time guest person. If you don't have somebody
For a bigger sort of situation.
for a bigger sort of situation, yes, definitely guest relations.
Because that's one of the kind of things that I did with
Also known as slaves.
Minions!
That's one of the conventions I am able to be around calls their guest relations to be that. I won't say who though. But it's not Andrew, we don't know. Guest relations. Those you gotta be very careful with guest relations. You really want professional guest relations because you're dealing with on that front you're dealing with an industry, a professional industry. So you want a professional.
You have to make sure that people that you have in guest relations are going to go fangirl, fanboy,
Exactly. That is.
Thinks that's real obnoxious.
Can someone do the spice?
Oh my
No,
god.
that's
That
probably
you'll
not a
have-
good idea either, because then they'll treat them like shit, and they'll never come back to you.
Basically, your guest relations staff have to.
Be professional and have worked around other people that are, students before.
Exactly.
So you know they can still be professional in
Yeah.
front of someone.
I work with
famous.
people I hate every day, and I
Yeah.
think that improves our work relationship.
Like-
If I liked them, I wouldn't work as well.
The only reason they let me work fully for right now, like a few weeks ago at the comic book show, was just because I had worked with half the staff with Buffy at their autographs and stuff before, and they knew like I actually wrote well. Because I said some people will sit in there and then they won't be able to talk and they'll just be like red in the face and they're not helpful at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aww, bless his heart.
I actually I had no idea what y'all were talking about. I know who David Borean is, but I was like, I don't know why we made that face anyway. With your guest relations staff, you make sure your guest relations staff deliver the promises you made to those guests. With the 2 most important people in that kind of staff is your chairman, which is more than likely going to be you if you decide to start your own convention, and your security, or Some people might call them something different, like patrol or safety. Safety is just it's just part of relations. Spitting.
Pinkertons.
I like.
I keep forgetting what we're at is different than what's on your shirt.
Yeah.
Because like 15 minutes ago, I was thinking for a while. I was like, wow, this costs so.
I don't know what Brony
Got my
Fest
head
is.
for a second. Never mind.
I don't know what Brony Fest is.
Different thing. I got confused.
Sorry. Where was I? Okay, your convention head and security. There's a reason why security is very important.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
nothing right now.
Anyone want to take a gander?
Crazy fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that.
I don't
Always that.
know who's sneaking.
You have to have loss prevention and.
Oh,
The
liability.
hotel itself.
Liability is good.
The movie Die Hard.
Murder.
Attendee safety.
That's a
Those
psychotic-
are all very good. But in addition to that, the way they handle the issues will make or break is one of those factors that will make or break a convention. If your security person is too lax, if too many rules are if too many people are getting away with rules, that's not going to reflect well. But if they're going to be too strict, like first time offense, out, that's not good either. People aren't going to be happy with that.
The bully who sees his opportunity to get away with being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to find a happy balance in between the two. I've been working with someone who is experienced, and Toa from, you know Toa at all?
I know.
I don't know what you're speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so much fun at Brony Fan Fair, and he's not even a Brony.
And he does like every.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
security, like
that
every.
guy. Sorry, you just had to tell me he was the one that's not a Brony fan. Gotcha. Yep, that
But
guy.
yeah, it's so much fun at Brony Fan
He's got
Fair.
kind of a big head, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you want someone who knows what he's doing. Best case scenario is if something bad happens, they know what to do. Like say active shooter event, they're going to know who the right people to call and the right actions to take, and make sure. And their number one priority is to make sure the attendees are safe.
I think most of us know who to call.
Yeah, most of us know what to call, but they're going to know the actual procedures to take.
Ghostbusters, yes. So clearly, we have a perfect little security worker.
Actually, I was actually privy to a story about this person started her own convention at the age of 13, 14. Whoa, right? She heard that one of her attendees were being threatened, and she did not react in most professional way.
Sorry.
She was going to throw a bike at this person because when you have your own convention,
It's like your baby.
it's your baby. Your convention or your attendees are your wards. You want to protect them.
Your vassals.
Your vassals, exactly. You want to protect your attendees. And if any harm comes to them, you want your immediate reaction is like, oh hell no! but most security staff are going to know what to do in this situation.
Yeah, you
So,
never want to
there-
handle your own product. Like,
Yeah.
because I work in marketing, or I did, and it would be really, really bad if we were out there marketing something and the person that made it would come to see us just to see how we're doing usually. But if we're showing a product to someone and they don't respond positively to it, that person gets offended. Like it offends them rather than like they're not interested in the product. Like a bald man is not going to want a straightener. But he's gonna walk up and be like, this is a stupid product, blah, 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 because he doesn't have ladies at home or something, you know? And then the person that made it takes it as a personal offense, and then you lose sales. You see what I'm saying? Because they take it differently than the employee.
Yeah. When I went to Furry Fiesta, the funny thing about furries and bronies, on one hand, they're across demographics. On the other hand, they really hate each other.
It's weird. They're like,
It's really
like
weird.
this, but they don't get
It's
along.
like your brother that you want to punch in the face.
Yeah, I actually talked to somebody
Two
about this. When
instruments
you,
that are almost in tune with each other.
I actually talked to somebody about this. They actually did research about like fandoms, and when you have two subjugated, I guess is the word, I guess, demographics who two subjugated demographics, they're going to want to make each other seem more special than the other. And so when me being the global genius I was like, hey, it's a furry convention, there's a lot of crossover, let's go. But what we ran into that we found was there were a lot of people that did not like furries at all, and they actually acted on that dislike. Not severely like to the point of I'm gonna punch this Brony, but it was more like this is a Brony flyer.
I don't understand why people get so serious at conventions, because like it used to be I went to a convention because it was that one time of year for a few days you could be anyone you wanted and no one cared.
Yeah.
And you could do anything you wanted and no one was going to judge you. But now, like, depending on what you like, the different sects judge each other. And it's like weird and I don't like it because it's like real society in there. It's not supposed to be like real society, it's supposed to be our escape.
I do that. I found that I do that.
I am horribly judgmental.
He
People
doesn't
are so out of control
have
for
a lot
most
of
of
hatred.
I'm sorry, I think they're all 13 years old.
I
So
think
we
a
got
lot of it
antler
has
and
come
horns.
from
That says the guy out with the
the
horns.
kind of mainstreaming of geek culture.
It's becoming more
And so
popular.
it's
Yeah.
a lot more popular, and all the people that were ostracized for so long, all of a sudden there's all these people that are into their thing, and they're like, oh no, you gave me all this crap for this. You don't get to, you get out of my party, dude.
It's like that fake
Don't
gamer
see
girls thing.
partners, you just like my
Yeah.
But you should be
Precisely.
happy when they're, the more the merrier, you guys.
Thank you.
More people go, you're like, hey, look, we have more people here.
We have cool things. I told you guys this was
More
awesome.
money,
You
which
should
means
totally
better
come and
celebrities.
listen.
If everybody goes to the convention, maybe it can become a permanent thing and a normal thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
To
we
be
don't
honest,
want
I'm
that.
actually guilty.
Maybe we don't want that. Maybe we want to be special. Maybe we're looking for things that make us more individual.
Oh gosh.
No, we're all special.
I'm actually
Yeah, it's
guilty
the
of.
same thing as saying no one.
That's
just
true though, the convention probably wouldn't be as fun if it was constant, because you get tired.
Yeah.
I'm actually guilty of actually judging the newcomers. Like in college, I'm like,
Darn.
I'm such
Oh,
a.
freshman puppies.
I hear kids, I hear other students going like, man, I'm such a geek. And I'm like, what's your D&D level? Character level.
Geekier
Give
than
me a
that.
credit right now.
Oh, please, what's your role in Dungeon Raid?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Definition of the geek
Yeah.
is when my brother comes home and covers up the whole table, and that's it.
I
And
figured
they were
it's
like,
anybody that
you
gets
wanna have a
really
drink? It's like,
excited about
It's like,
something.
no, we're in the middle of D&D. I don't need that, that's gonna throw my concentration.
Being a nerd is
Oh my
about
God.
getting lost in something. That's what I think. Like it's losing yourself to like a stupid TV show or a stupid collectible or,
Well, there are people
or a
that are
video
nerdy
game.
about
That's the
sports,
essence of being a nerd.
You know?
Yeah, you can lose yourself to sports. though.
Yeah.
You can get lost in fantasy football.
Yeah.
That's all it takes to be a nerd.
Oh my god, baseball.
The willingness to lose yourself in something.
I actually think we went off on this huge tangent.
Yeah.
Which I believe does deserve its own discussion.
That's
All right,
what we do.
let's get back to the panel.
PokeCon.
Pokemon. Pokemon.
Have staff.
Which is interesting enough because it is mainstream enough to be acceptable. Let me go back to my notes.
We could have a panel where people just sit there and poke each other on Facebook.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. The whole thing is a total sham. It's actually about poking people on Facebook instead of Pokemon.
And it's just like,
Yes.
Okay, so all right, so
you're right.
you anticipate a list of possible convention expenses. Of course, the venue is going to cost you. The guests are going to cost you. There are other costs you're going to have to figure out. AV rental, marketing budget, travel costs if you're going to market at a convention like what we do.
DJs.
You can actually sometimes you can get away with not paying DJs.
Depends on how ambitious.
Yeah.
How well you know, you know DJ.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe depends on the
oh,
DJ.
for free.
If he just wants to get exposed, he might work for free.
There's a lot of concert DJs are waiting in line.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I keep getting emails like, "Hey, can I perform? Hey, can I perform?" And I'm like, I'm not impressed by that.
And the big furry con that I go to, they start having to audition people to hear their tempos.
Yeah, San Japan's actually doing a DJ submission, which I was like,
And
that's a good idea. I should do that.
I have to audition for something, they better be paying me, that's all I'm saying.
Well,
Yeah, like you get the audition and then you're still not taking this.
the compensation that they're
I'm
doing,
not going through all that work for nothing.
the compensation they're doing is like, we are not going to pay for your lodging, we're not going to pay for your food, but we will give you a pass and we'll promote you. And the weird thing is like promoting.
So they actually still lose money?
Yeah, probably.
Some people aren't out to make money when they promote their own talents.
A lot of DJs have a real job and then they're DJs for fun.
Yeah.
Like that's what my mom is.
Yeah, but I
And
do
some
feel
artists,
fun, I like to lose
some
money.
artists do that too.
Yeah, I'm
Some
sorry,
artists do that too. But most of them are going to want to make money. I was able to convince some people that, hey, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. That's business. If you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Brony Fan Fair actually got a table here at Brony-Fest because I suggested a table swap. If you give me a table at your convention, I'll give you a table at my convention. Give me 2 badges, I'll give you 2 badges. So, and with the people I work with, we have a policy of not paying for ad space. We do ad swap. I put an ad in you let us put an ad in your program book, and yeah, you want to save money that way.
Well, it also gets people in your convention.
Yeah, they can kind of see in Japan does that a lot. I see that a lot. After you, oh yeah, another thing, office supplies. You're going to need office supplies.
So many pins.
So many pens. Actually, one convention that I helped out at in Louisiana, I was like, are you guys done with these Sharpies? Are you guys done with these Sharpies? And my friend was like, you know they could probably use that for the next year, right? And I was like, not likely. honestly, unless you really keep up with your stuff, you're going to end up buying more office supplies.
Staples and probably other office supply stores, but I'm sure Staples does donations because of tax write-offs. So that's probably something you could look into.
Okay.
And like, slap the Staples logo on the back of your little flyer thing or something. I was like, I would have my stuff printed here and got a million free ones.
The place we get flyers from is the option of tagging your stuff with their stuff.
Yeah, Vistaprint will do everything for free.
Yeah.
They'll do their website on the back.
And they'll charge you extra if you don't want to tag. And we end up paying like an extra $30 just not to have their logo on the flyers, which I don't mind. It's $5,000 flyers for like one year. $5,000 flyers for $120, which is really amazingly cheap for what we get in return. Like you guys see my flyers; they're really quality. They're good quality. So expenses, and this entire panel is just brainstorming, right? And last thing you think of is a list of events. What are you going to have at the convention? For our Pokemon convention, we're probably going to want different ideas. Concerts, tournaments.
Variety of
Tournaments.
So many tournaments.
Video game.
Probably marathon
TCG.
watching.
Yeah.
Who can stay awake the longest watching Pokemon episodes?
Having the movies, yeah.
Who can last with the seizure episode?
Costume contest.
Yeah.
Always costume.
Survive the seizure.
Honestly, when if you ask your average person what they would do when starting a convention, they're going to jump straight to events. That honestly is going to be the last thing you should think of. You got to get all the other stuff started first. At least starting the business up, getting your venue. Those two are the most important. And then Brony Fan Fair got away with not inviting any industry guests the first year, and people had a great time, so it was a great success. We're working on getting industry guests for our upcoming year, so hopefully that'll work out for us.
It was fun. Don't worry.
So the first 3 steps you're gonna take: register as a business, find a venue. Once you find a venue, market. And between the times of opening pre-registration and your actual dates, you should be working on everything else. With marketing is constant. And that's where Brony Fan Fair is right now. We're marketing. We just opened volunteer registration. And after a few weeks after Brony-Fest, we're going to work on open panel submissions. And and the most important value you're going to need is communication. When you start a convention, you're going to be working with hundreds of people, and more of them. Some of them are going to have more say than others, particularly dealers and guests. Guests came out. If the guests isn't having a good time, they're going to tell other people that. Your dealers especially, if they're not happy, ain't nobody happy. Exhibitors at Brony Fan Fair were super happy, so that's good. Definitely take care of your exhibitors. Yeah, that's mostly how to start your own convention.
Yeah, like anytime they started last year, where like you would find people, they were like really positive and fun people, like just hanging out outside, like if they didn't have money for their badge or something, we'd be like, hey, if you go, make sure that everybody at this convention is really happy, we'll give you a badge. And like it was just something that we did like with the vendors and stuff, because like we would have days where everybody would be like mad about something, like the food didn't come on time, like something like that, and we kind of like save their attitude and stuff like that. So it's also really helpful, because there's always going to be those crazy fans at one end that just don't have the money for it. So like the badges are like $35 or $45 like that, then you've got other people and like the dealers aren't happy, then you send somebody in there like as an entertainer and and give them a badge as training. So like you still don't have to pay them for that.
Fun story. Con 5 had obscenely lined registration lines. They totally turned that around, by the way. But they were in talks of having just entertainers be around the lines just so that people won't be irritated as much. They actually had people offering to do that for them.
We gave out toys and keychains and Rubik's Cubes so people could like occupy themselves.
It's not a bad idea. Alright, so we are 7 minutes away from 4 o'clock. And most panels are supposed to end at 50 minutes in, so we're actually good for this panel. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.